Imagine the thrill of discovering that the old portrait you acquired a decade ago at a humble yard sale was, in fact, an invaluable masterpiece. Consider the excitement of realizing that the small trinkets your great-grandmother passed down to you carry a substantial fortune. It is a tantalizing notion that occupies the minds of many. A world in which seemingly insignificant possessions scattered around our homes can transform us into millionaires. Remarkably, for a fortunate few, this dream may indeed materialize into reality. For 30 years, one Michigan man believed that the doorstop keeping his backyard shadow jar was nothing more than a large worthless stone. But after getting an expert opinion, he learned that there was much more to this simple rock than met the eye, and that he was about to become a very rich man. Most home buyers are pretty adamant about checking out a property before buying, and David Zurich was no different. Sure, the Edmore, Michigan farm he was looking to purchase back in 1988 wasn't exactly brand new, but Mazurek still wanted to know exactly what he was getting himself into. As the property's owner led him on a tour of the farm, Mazurek noticed a large stone propping open the door of the back shed. Mazurek thought nothing of it at first, yet as the tour continued, he just couldn't shake the odd-looking rock from his mind. Finally, Mazurek had to ask, when the world was that thing, it was unlike any rock or stone he'd ever seen before. That's when the farmer revealed it wasn't of this world at all. According to the farmer, he actually seen the rock fall from the night sky as a child back in the 1930s, eager to recover the space stone he and his father had trekked out to the fields the next morning to see if they could locate. Jutting from a large crater in the earth, the stone was still hot to the touch as the farmer and his father pulled it from the dirt. Neither of them had ever seen anything like it before though. Given its weight, they figured it'd be best used as a doorstop. The farmer's story was believable enough, but even so, Mazurek wasn't entirely convinced. A meteorite as a doorstop, what a waste. Still, he was more than happy to take the stone when the farmer offered it to him along with the property. For the next 3 decades, Mazurek made the use of the rock and the only way he knew how as a doorstop. Yet the unusual stone continued to marvel all those who saw it, and over the years, the children even brought it to school for show and tell. Finally, following a meteor shower in 2018, Mazurek began to wonder if the farmer's story might have been true after all. People all over Michigan were finding meteorites in their own backyards, though they certainly weren't using them as doorstops. Not only were Michigan turning these space rocks in for cash, but they were also making some pretty big bucks doing it too. Mazurek could only imagine what his doorstop might be worth, but there was still one glaring question he needed to answer first. Was this really a meteorite or just an ugly rock? He contacted a friend who studied geology at Central Michigan University, who then led him to Dr. Manis Sabasco, a professor at CMU. Dr. Sabasco agreed to examine the stone, though she wasn't particularly optimistic about the outcome. Over the years, Dr. Sabasco had been approached hundreds of times about suspected meteorites, and 9 times out of 10, these extraterrestrial objects turned out to be just ordinary rocks. Yet, as soon as she laid eyes on Misery Stone, Dr. Sabasco knew she was dealing with something special. Holding it in her hands, the large rock had all the telltale signs of being a meteorite, though. It'd take more than just a physical examination to confirm her suspicions. Using X-ray fluorescence, Dr. Sabasco dove into the makeup of the stone. Well, Missouri's doorstop was 88% iron. It also contained 12% nickel. Being that this metal is almost solely found on meteorites, Dr. Sabasco knew that this stone came from outer space. Weighing over 22 pounds, Mazurek meteorite was now the 6th largest space stone of its kind to be recovered in Michigan. With a pedigree like this, Dr. Sabasco was confident that the rock could fetch a ton at auction. More specifically, she suggested it could be worth up to $100,000, but they were getting ahead of themselves here, and Dr. Sabasco didn't want to make any promises. She couldn't keep to be extra sure that this was truly a $100,000 meteorite. She sliced a piece of the rock and mailed it off to the Smithsonian for additional analysis. Geologist Catherine Corrigan was the first to examine the stone, and after a few tests, she could corroborate Dr. Sabasco's findings. But even with the meteorite's identity finally set in stone, what was to become of Missouri's incredible find? According to Dr. Sabasco, he had 2 options: sell the stone to a museum or sell it to a private collector looking to turn a profit. Either way, Mazurek was determined to put the proceeds from the meteorite to good use. If he did decide to sell the stone, Mazurek vowed to donate 10% of the sale to CMU to provide further funding for geological studies. Regardless of the donation, however, Dr. Sabasco insisted that being able to study the meteorite was gift enough. By enabling her students to engage directly with the space rock, the teacher provided them with a distinctive outlook on the genuine essence of their studies. Reflecting on the experience, Dr. Sabasco couldn't help but marvel, realizing that what she was holding was a fragment from the early solar system that had literally fallen into their grasp. Presently known as the Edmore meteorite, this captivating piece, under the scrutiny of Mazarek media, is still being scrutinized in the pursuit of uncovering rare elements within it. While meteorites are not entirely uncommon on Earth, this particular stone, discovered on the Moon, had no logical reason to be there, confounding scientists with its extraordinary presence.